welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel, the owner and creator here at the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. Today's Tuesday, and for today's video, I have a thrift flip for you. I didn't get quite as many items done as I'd hoped, but I did get two really cool things finished. I am in the process of, again, trying to work through some of the stuff sitting around in my kitchen. And so these two items haven't really been in there for very long, but that's because they were just stashed on top of all the other stuff that has been in there for a while. So I needed to get them out of my way and out of my kitchen. So that's what I did. I hope you like both of them. I am super pleased with how they both turned out. Particularly project number 2, wait till you see it. I really am thinking about keeping it for me, so we'll see. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to the projects for today. My first project for today is this frame that I picked up not too long ago at a yard sale. I just happened to see a yard sale on my way into the shop and stopped really quick and grabbed this. This was the only thing that I found, and I think I paid $2 for it. It's originally from Hobby Lobby, still had the sticker on the back, and so I decided to do something a little different with it, obviously. And so first off, I painted the outside frame with one good even coat of DIY's Little Black Dress, which is this beautiful dark black color. It's a very true black. And thankfully, since the paint is so highly pigmented, it only took one coat. And then for the inside of the frame, I did have to go over it twice, mainly to cover up that wording, and because I was going over this with white. And this color is DIY's White Swan, which is an absolute gorgeous true white color. So this is me putting the second coat on, just using a spritz of water to kind of thin it out and try and reduce any brush marks that are in the paint. Now this next step is definitely something you don't have to do, and quite honestly, it really didn't make a huge impact on this frame because the wood underneath was so dark, but I did take a damp shop towel and go around and lightly distress it. Once that was done and the paint was dry again, I decided to go ahead and seal everything before I began the next step. So I started by sealing the white portion first with DIY's Big Top, and then I moved on to the black. I didn't want to accidentally grab some of that black paint and then transfer it over to the white. So that's why I did it in that order. And so just very carefully, one good even coat of Big Top. Now, when I got this frame, I knew right away that I wanted to use these chickens. This is Roycycled Treasures decoupage paper called Farm Animals, and these two just crack me up. So I first laid down the paper and smoothed it out inside the frame, and then just took after I lined the bottom up really well with the edge of the frame, I took my fingernails and just made a really good indentation where I needed to cut. Then I pulled it back out of the frame and cut out the portion that I needed with my scissors. Once my piece was cut out, I laid the chickens inside the frame just to make sure they fit, and then I pulled them back out, flipped them over, and gave them a good spritz of water. Set them aside and started on the decoupaging process. To glue the paper down, I'm using DIY's Liquid Patina. This is their crystal clear patina. And I laid a starter strip down, making sure that it was a nice light, even coat of paint or patina, and then I laid my paper down and went over that with another coat of the liquid patina, just kind of pressing it down against the frame on that bottom section. Then I worked my way up the frame section by section, laying down a nice even layer of the liquid patina, and then slowly smoothing that paper out with my brush with another coat of liquid patina over the top. Just working again slowly in sections up the frame. Now, once I got done, I realized, unfortunately, I'd cut somehow my paper just a little bit too long. So I just used my brush to kind of push the paper right up against the frame and give it a good dent. I was going to go in and cut it back with a razor blade, which I did later, but you need to make sure if you're going to do any cutting that you let your paper and your patina dry completely. Otherwise, it will just tear. I learned that mistake the last time I did one of these, and I don't want anybody else to make that same mistake. So if you need to cut, make sure it's dry. Anyway, this was a pretty easy process. Took me a few minutes, but I absolutely love how these little chickens came out. Now, honestly, it took me a minute to figure out what I wanted to do with this old toolbox. This thing had so much great character and patina, but it had a lot of stains and there were just some areas that really needed a little bit of cover up. I have to say, I spent a lot of time on Pinterest and Google looking at other people's toolboxes just to kind of see what they had done with them. I wanted to paint it, but I really wanted a lot of that character to still remain. So what I did is I took Sweet Pickins milk paint, and this is the color Flour Sack, and I mixed up the paint really thick, and I did not add any extra bond. I figured if I got some chippiness, that would be fine. So I'm going in and not really painting every square inch of this. I am letting it kind of that thick paint just kind of go over some of the areas and leave some of that character showing. Once that was done, I did have some bleed through in some areas, which I kind of expected, and the paint looked just a little bit gray on the front. And so I did end up going over it a second time with the same paint, just again, no extra bond, mixing it kind of thick. Now, I liked this piece okay with the two coats of the milk paint on it, but that really wasn't the look I was going for. I definitely wanted this to have more of a primitive, rustic, aged patina, and it was just too stark and too white. So I took it outside, and with some 120 grit sandpaper on my palm sander, I sanded the heck out of it. And so that made all the difference as far as I'm concerned. You can see there on the bottom, I actually did get some chippiness, which was great. And I sanded this thing on the inside and the outside, removing quite a bit of that paint, but it made it look so much better and much more like an antique toolbox, which is definitely the look I was going for. Now I decided I wanted to go ahead and stencil the front, but I really didn't have a color I wanted to use, so I mixed my own using faded burlap with a little bit of layered chocolate. And once that was done and I was happy with the color, I got my stencil placed and just kind of very carefully flattened it down. I didn't want it stuck too much just because that paint underneath was still a little bit chippy and I didn't want to peel it all up. Then I took a makeup sponge that I got from the Dollar Tree and my custom color from DIY and began the stenciling process. And I went over all the letters twice just to make sure that they all had really good coverage. The first time I went over them very lightly and then a little heavier that second coat. Then again, I was really careful to pull up that stencil vinyl without ripping a lot of that paint off with it. And once I got that done, I had to go back and, of course, weed out the parts of the letters that were left over. And then it was on to sealing. Now, I didn't want to use wax because wax would smear the letters. Big Top also tends to reactivate the paint a little bit, and you always have the potential with smearing. So instead of any of those, I decided to just give this a really good coat of a spray sealant. This one's by Krylon. It's just a matte spray enamel, and I went over the entire piece with one good even coat of that spray sealer. Now, I love this piece, and really honestly, I am tempted to keep it for myself. It is such great storage, and there are so many beautiful things you could do with this. I can think of a million ways to decorate it for every season. So what did you guys think of my projects for today? I really wanted to get more done, but we had an event here on Saturday. It was my very first Fall Fest. And we had vendors and it was pretty busy, and so I didn't get any DIYs accomplished on Saturday at all. And of course I didn't take any video of the event either. So it kind of set me a little bit behind. Anyway, I hope you did like the projects for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would love it if you give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you want to follow along with the craziness that goes on here at the cottage, please think about subscribing to my channel and then just hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. Just a reminder, all of the products that I used in today's video, the Sweet Pickins milk paint and the DIY paint, can be purchased through my website at www.theeclecticcottagespokane.com. It's listed below in the description box. And Friday's video is going to be another thrift flip. I have a shelf almost done. I was hoping to have it finished for today, but didn't quite get there. So that will be for Friday, and I will probably pull at least 1 or 2 more projects to finish for Friday as well. So I hope you will join me for those. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. Bye.